It took Carroll County detectives 5.5 years after Richard Allen first spoke to investigators to have him charged with the murders of the two girls along the banks of Deer Creek. While Judge Fran Gull will hear arguments about making her temporary gag order permanent.
I would think that she'll keep it in place, that there's no harm to having that gag order on both sides, from commenting on, etc.
And moving the trial away from Carroll County.
Imagine the jurors from that county if they had to go home and how they would feel constrained and compelled to find him guilty.
On December 30th, the defense filed this discovery motion asking for names of confidential informants, all case reports, and a copy of the search warrant served at Allen's house.
First of all, I'd want that search warrant. I'd want that search warrant and the affidavit for the search warrant to find out if indeed that there was, if going into his house, that there's legally supportable. That's the first thing I'd want to find out.
Prosecutor Nicholas McLeland says he'll give all that up.
The prosecutor is going public and saying that, then get on there from a discovery and reveal the basis of that.
What the prosecutor says he won't surrender includes information on a deputy's lawsuit related to the investigation, character witness and criminal records, and a written statement about evidence proving the innocence of Allen.
You have to see everything. You have to see the entire investigative file. You have to see every interview that was done. You have to see every lead, every other suspect, what their sources of information were so you can see whether it was trustworthy and reliable. You have to see the applications for search warrants to see if they were based on hearsay.
The judge will meet with the defense behind closed doors tomorrow, as those attorneys will be seeking money to hire a private investigator to dig up evidence to prove Richard Allen's innocence.
August 10th, 2022. 2 Indiana officers were suspended after a stunning courtroom revelation that police thought a potential town council candidate was anti-police and arrested him, stopping him from running for office. Franklin County prosecutor dropped charges that included drug possession against Trevor Talheimer. The prosecutor, who did not pursue a rape charge police had investigated, said he was disturbed beyond words by the alleged police conduct and reported the incident to the Indiana State Police, which launched a criminal investigation. Brooksville Police Chief Terry Mitchum and investigating officer Ryan Geiser were suspended with pay from the 9-person force Thursday by the town council, which ordered them to stay away from the officers and town property. Talheimer said he decided not to run for the May 3rd primary race for town council since the arrest rocked his hometown of 2,500 people and consumed his life. Immediately after he got out of jail, he said he couldn't leave his bed. He said he felt he had been destroyed. "I have a bad taste in my mouth about politics," he said. "I knew politics were dirty, but I didn't know I'd have to dumpster dive." The town council president, Curtis Ward, said there has been no finding of wrongdoing and noted that the presumption of innocence in criminal cases. Mitchum and Geiser did not respond to requests for comment. The controversy comes after Brooksville police have not worn body cameras, which the town council could require. The news also coincides with the federal prosecutor charging police officers who shot and killed Breonna Taylor with falsifying information, drawing attention to past cases when police misled judges who signed off search warrants. After his arrest, it took months before the hearing that cleared his charges. During the hearing, Elsie Whitmore, a friend of Talheimer's, testified that Geiser called to ask her to run for the seat herself. He mentioned Talheimer's interest in the race, saying, "We don't want him on the town board because he hates cops." 3 days later, he was arrested. "I was upset," Whitmore said, about reading in the local paper that Geiser arrested Talheimer. Shortly after calling Whitmore, Geiser said he investigated a report from Talheimer's neighbor who said items were stolen from his house and that Talheimer was supposed to be watching the house. Geiser went to Talheimer's and spoke with his roommate, and he alleged that he smelled marijuana. He returned with a search warrant January 30th and arrested Talheimer because of drugs allegedly found there. For a months-old rape allegation, Geiser testified another officer had told him that there was DNA evidence, but Geiser didn't know what that was, and he wasn't the officer on the investigation. He also didn't recall mentioning Talheimer to Whitmore, but he said that he thought Talheimer did not like police and that the police chief was not a huge supporter of Talheimer. The police chief ordered Talheimer's arrest, Geiser said. "From everything I've learned throughout the law enforcement community is that he wasn't a fan of law enforcement," Geiser said of Talheimer. The prosecutor cross-examined Geiser, asking him how he came to the unusual step of lodging a rape charge without seeing DNA evidence or consulting with anyone in the prosecutor's office. Indiana State Police spokesperson Stephen Wheelies declined to comment further about the criminal investigation, saying it is in its early stages. If state police find any employees of the Brooksville Police Department committed criminal violations, charges would be filed with the Franklin County Prosecutor's Office, or a special prosecutor could be appointed. Talheimer said he is looking into pursuing civil rights claim against the police department at a time when the Supreme Court has made it easier for people to sue over wrongful arrest. Talheimer said that he never considered himself anti-police before this experience. He said he and his criminal defense attorney, McMillan, have wondered whether police were concerned that he would have been in favor of officers wearing body cameras. McMillan said Talheimer is not the only client to face false or exaggerated charges. Still, he said, it's highly unusual that the prosecutor stepped in to stop the case, as he did. In a legal maneuver, McMillan said he had seen it twice in 20 years. The prosecutor said, this is the first time he joined defenses to suppress charges. That's the scary part, is these things are happening everywhere, McMillan said. I don't know where you guys live, but where I live, they wear body cameras. And what officer would not want to wear a body camera? It protects them. It protects the people. So for an officer not to want to wear one is highly suspicious to me. And this story is so familiar. And I couldn't figure out why for about 2 seconds. And then it hit me. Yes, the election with Tony Liggett. Liggett is the one who went and got the quotes for the body cameras that were so outrageously priced they never got them.
It's mostly for the families, the Williams family, the German family. They are what drives us every day. And things are very positive. I'll leave it at that. Things are very positive right now.
I actually have 2 questions. Tony, this is for you. So back in 20, you said that you checked on body camera prices. So I'm sitting here and I found all kinds of brands just sitting here. So I'm kind of curious as to why you
My job as a detective, I was asked to look at and get quotes for the sheriff for body cameras. I did what was asked for me. I gave them to the sheriff.
Was the arrest of Richard Allen just another distraction to take the eyes off the election? Tony Liggett is the one who got the search warrant for Richard Allen. How do we know that he didn't place the bullet? How do we know that bullet was even found? For all we know, the bullet could have been a lie in the probable cause and then taken from Allen's gun and put into evidence. And you may ask, why Richard Allen? Well, because he put himself on the bridge. He came forward like they asked him to do. He did it. They knew what he had on. Despite the fact that he doesn't have the right hair, he has blue eyes, and he is too short. But then again, the law enforcement that holds the power.
At least 37 people have filed federal or state lawsuits against this police officer here in this video. He has been fired for planting drugs in their cars in the state of Florida. Now, this police officer's name is Zach Wesser, and an assistant state attorney named Christina Pumphrey actually started looking into him after what she says she noticed was his name was the arresting officer on a disproportionate number of drug arrests. And specifically, she says she started investigating him. And as she watched the body camera footage from Wesser's arrest, Pumphrey grew concerned. His vehicle searches were not always conducted legally, and his written affidavits didn't always match what she saw in the video. She also says that she noticed the people's reactions in these arrest videos, they were odd. This is what she says. She says, it wasn't, okay, crap, I'm busted. She says it was, what do you mean? And then Pumphrey began looking a little more closely into Wesser's arrest. So soon he was pulled off patrol. There were, at this point though, here's the thing. There were more than 100 people who he had arrested at this time during his 2 years on the force. Now, all of these people, some were still out on bond. If their arrests had violated probation though, they were behind bars. Yet, She says the state attorney's office didn't immediately move to drop the cases, and at the time, she was getting an explicit instruction to not dismiss the cases, saying, I know these people are sitting in jail. I know the particular charges they're in jail on. They're either innocent of, based on the information I see, or there's no way I could take this in front of a jury, but I'm being told, just let them sit in jail. Now, he was fired, this Officer Wester was fired after Pumphrey uncovered this video. It's a body cam video of when he pulled Teresa Odom over for a faulty brake light. And take a look at this here. He claimed to find meth in her trunk, but in the body cam video, you can see that he's hiding something in his hand. I mean, you can take a look at it. You're watching it there.
Worst magician ever.
Right, it's absolutely absurd. 119 cases had to be dropped eventually after this video was brought to light. And
does he know that there's a camera on his chest?
Obviously he does. Obviously he does. And so even worse, I just want to tell you this one more thing. Internally, so they dropped 119 cases, but Pumphrey says that the chief assistant state attorney, a man named Larry Bassford, chastised her for sharing the video with the sheriff's office, saying he starts yelling over the phone, what was I doing looking through all the videos? Why in the world did I find the Teresa Odom video? Why was I looking for it? And just having an absolute fit. She ended up quitting.
That's a weird reaction if justice is your goal.
Hello.
So obviously I'm joking, he knows that the camera's there. So what that demonstrates is an unerring certainty that it would never be looked at.
Right.
That if necessary, they could lose the footage or the camera was broken or something. They could break it before they would be able to find the footage. They just were sure. Like, imagine breaking the law 119 times on film.
At least.
Knowing I got this, I'm gonna be just fine. And also, by the way, even if they do find the footage, which they did thanks to this woman, knowing that the higher ups are gonna defend you, that they're gonna attack the investigator rather than applaud her for weeding out one of the bad apples that you say you oppose, that it's not an institutional thing, it's just bad apples. But this is a demonstration that it is not, that they are protected from above. Completely. So now what, like I would wanna look into that person's history. What have they been involved in?
Exactly, and he's not in jail. This officer's not in jail, no charges have been filed against him.
But people have served jail time because of his crimes.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, it's horrendous.
And just the fact that it's more than 100 people, this could happen to anybody. This could happen to anybody.
Exactly.
And the people in charge there, not all of them at least, but there were at least one person in charge there that wasn't upset by what he was doing. He was more upset that he got found out.
Yeah, and the frustrating thing is, like when I see something like this, I think, well, God, they should just start going through all of the cameras. Now, obviously that's an incredibly onerous task. How would you ever have the time to do it? But they also make it as difficult as possible to ever get access to this footage. So even if this investigator wanted to say, is this an institutional problem? Have other people been doing this? It might be very difficult, not just time consuming, to ever find out who might have been breaking the law. And in the meantime, hundreds of people are sitting in jail because of the actions like this that are probably taking place around the country.
And they all have mugshots now. They all have arrest records. Sure, it was dismissed. Probably you can get it expunged, but they all have mugshots. They all have arrest records. They all have conversations that they've had to have with family members and with their employers. I got arrested, they're saying this, I didn't do it. This is absurd. It's
relationships
terrible.
are probably broken up and ruined because of this. Like imagine a random person that you have never seen them doing meth, all of a sudden arrested for meth. That would be weird. Like if Brooke, if you were suddenly arrested, that would change my opinion a little bit.
Stop, I hope you
have a more
believe
exciting
that
life than I thought you did.
Do meth.
No, it would be positive. I'm kidding. Obviously, this is horrendous and a demonstration that while body cameras are incredibly important, it doesn't fix the fundamental problems of police misconduct.
I grew up in a place where they told you what to chase, told you how to run the race. Every move was on the page, but I didn't like their way. Had to fight and misbehave.